Good evening, everyone, and thank you so very much for joining us. This evening's conversation is going to be a little bit more intense. This is a colleague from many, many moons ago who has a story that I think you'll find very interesting. He's a producer-director, and his name is Frazier Prince. He has a documentary out. Frazier, this is Natalie J. Thank you so much. So a few minutes ago, we were engaged in a conversation, and you were sharing with me what transpired on 9/11.
A 9/11 experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
So can you go back and recap and start it from the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I start from the very beginning. The sky was so blue that day. I mean, it was crystal clear. So I get up into my office, and before I get to the office, I stop off and on, I think it was the 8th or the 9th floor at the vending machines and get my bran muffin, what I normally do every day, and head up to the office, and I get to my desk, and I see it's a manila envelope with a whole bunch of stickies on it. So I look down, and I said, okay. So I go over and put my bran muffin into the microwave, but I don't warm it up yet. I said, let me go and get a pot of coffee. So I went to get some water so I can start the coffee. And I said, wait a minute, you know what? Before I do all this, let me go take a look and see what the boss left on my desk on a manila envelope. So I go over there and see all these stickers and everything on it. And I'm there holding my head and says, oh, man, I got to deal with this. So I'm debating whether or not I'm going to go down to the computer room where they have the hosting at for the NYPD's Most Wanted, or I'm going to have my bran muffin and coffee first.
Hold on, Frazier. Before you go any further, where are you at this particular point in time? What's your location, and how close are you to
I'm at work. I'm inside one police department. I'm about a block away. I'm in police headquarters.
Okay.
About a block away from the World Trade Center.
Okay.
So one of my coworkers come running in the office, and I'm sitting there at the desk, and he says the World Trade Center is on fire. I said, what? Yeah, a small plane hit it, and there's fire coming out of one of the towers. He said, does the chief know? I said, I don't know. I just got here. He said, did anybody notify him? I said, no. I said, you can go notify him. So he runs up front. And I said, okay, well, let me go downstairs and take care of this. So I go down to the computer room, a couple floors down, and saw all these other people that work in the office looking out the window. So I go say, well, let me see what they're so fascinated about. They're looking at one of the towers of the World Trade Center had this big gaping hole in its side. And I saw the fire was shooting out and debris and everything. And I was like, wow, I don't think no sprinkler system is going to put them flames out. I said, and helicopters can't even get near. How are they going to extinguish those flames? That's what I was saying to myself. So I walked away from the window and walked over to one of the technicians that's maintaining the site, the host. And I'm going over the paperwork with her, what the supervisor had asked me to go over with her in reference to the Most Wanted site, because I was the one that really put that together, which was the New York's Most Wanted on the internet.
Cool.
So next thing you know, I hear some of the workers in the office going, ooh, ooh. I said, what the heck? So I go run towards the window, what they were, trying to see what was going on. And that's when I saw the plane come in and just hit the second tower, and it cut through the tower like butter. And you really didn't hear anything at that point, but you felt the percussion. It was like debris was flying over towards where we were, and they were rolling up the window. Then you saw the red flag, you heard the sound. And when that happened, I was running so fast. And I was running up the steps to get back upstairs to my office. By the time I got to my floor landing, one of my supervisors, who was the fire captain for the floor, says, well, what are you doing? Everybody, the whole building is evacuated. So we come, but the terrorists are attacking and they hit this hit this building next. I said, I was going to the office to get my cell phone and my two-way pager. He said, what, are you crazy? The office is locked. Get out of here. So he starts running, and I'm running right behind him. Wow. And then we didn't take the elevators because those kind of instances, you don't take the elevators. We're taking the staircase. And I'm running behind him, and we both are jumping down steps just to get out the building as quickly as we can. Finally, we got to the ground level, and we got to the turnstile inside police headquarters. And I was so tired that I had to crawl underneath the turnstile. I mean, I was so tired, I was hyperventilating. Finally, I picked myself up to go through the revolving doors. When I reached outside, it looked like it was snowing outside. It looked like the Poconos. I mean, it was white. All this stuff was in the air. And what happened, being I was so tired and the hyperventilating, I was breathing, and I breathed in all this stuff that was in the air, and I was coughing up a storm. I mean, it was crazy. And they got us all together. Whoever was members of the service let the civilians go home, and they started us mustering on, at the Triangle, they call it, on Madison, opposite the Verizon building. Murray Berkman was there, too, the high school. So they had us there and trying to figure out what they were going to do. No one ever dealt with something like that before. And they were trying to figure out who was working, who was not working. And we were out there all day and all night. And they broke us up into teams and sent us into different directions to look for different things. And I mean, it was chaotic. It was chaotic. It was like a war zone down there. And then actually, the next you know, one tower fell down. We heard on the radio say, it's coming down, it's coming down. We didn't know whether it was going to go, which way the building was going to tip over. And fortunately, it imploded as opposed to flipping over. Because who knows, I may not be here now if it would have flipped in my direction. But we all scattered like cockroaches when the building started coming down, and then the debris was in the air like a mushroom cloud. I mean, we were running. The first time I jumped under a car, but it was crazy. Then you heard the fighter jets flying over the air, and you hear the radio chatter about the planes was up in the air and this and that. I mean, it was. And when the building came down, it started. You can hear the twisted metal and the glass and everything breaking, and it sounds. I mean, you can't even recreate it. I mean, it was worse than movie earthquake sound from the movie Earthquake. I mean, wow. You could hear it. When the metal was twisting, it sounded like it was crying, like, I'm like, get the heck out of here, like a movie.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very traumatic. I'll never forget that.
So the rest of us was looking at this from either across the street. I was across the street, meaning across the East River, looking at it from the Jersey side. And there was a couple of things that I knew about, and that's because I grabbed the camera, ran outside, and was doing that whole broadcast background stuff. And by the time I got to Port Authority on Jersey side, the police officers were saying nobody's going to cross, which I kind of knew that, kind of. But it was just so many other things that was happening at that point. But before we go into that any further, I just want to say to you, I'm glad that you're alive, because I knew you way before that. And I am also quite proud of you in terms of all of your accomplishments, all of them. You have quite a little record here. You have quite a beat, very long. But let's go back a little bit before the World Trade Center and talk about the foundation for where I want to go to, and that is this recent trailer that I just watched and the documentary that you shot. So let's go back to the beginning, when you started in film and as an actor and things like that. Tell me some of that experience.
Started originally with Ed and Tim Carson. I was casting a few scenes in that movie. And around that same time, I hooked up with Paul De Silva. He had just came home from the Army, and he was teaching martial arts down at the community center. And he would teach all the kids in the neighborhood karate. And I was one of the students he took to. He used to teach me. He was my sensei. And what he was one of the first people around the neighborhood that was a real, true urban filmmaker. He started making movies with Super 8, this before they had Super 8 sound. And he would do the reel-to-reel. And he would have a sound person. He would use the Super 8 camera and make movies. And when he finished cutting everything, he would have screenings at community centers and schools, films. He was actually doing full-length feature films. So, and then he would have us in it and also participate in it. And that's where actually my hands getting in on film business was because of Paul the Silver. Then after that, he started going to a program called the Community Filmworks Council with Dick Martin. He used to drag me there every now and then, and Dick Martin used to allow him to bring me into the class and observe. And because of that, attending that class, and he was able to have access to 3/4 and 16mm cameras. So we were out there shooting projects in 3/4 and 16, getting our feet wet. And then eventually, as time moved on, I also started doing commercials and getting more and more involved on the acting side, as well as acting in Paul's films. I was also a union actor, Screen Actors Guild, and had a role in a series called Getting to Know Me that was on PBS, a couple of bit parts in films like The Warriors. And then that continued. Then what happened, the business started drying up for me because I started to get away from that all-American kind of look. I started taking tests, civil service tests, and the New York City Police Department called me. I accepted the call, and I did 20 years in the New York City Police Department. And then before that, before I retired, a few years, I'd say when I started was able to have like steady hours. Paul and I got together, and he wanted to do this film called Crackdown Big City Blues, because at that time I was a narco investigator, and he wanted to do something about crack and drugs and opiates, those kind of things. It was his idea. He wrote the script, he produced, and he directed the film. And I was consulting on it and help him out with the story, different things from a police perspective and also from the narcotics side. And he put the script together, and we went out and raised the money to shoot Crackdown Big City Blues, which is Paul's first 35mm feature film. So basically, I was his right hand. I mean, he would handle all the creative side, and I would handle all of the business side. And so eventually we got 3 investors involved, and they put up the money, and we started going into rehearsals. And as a matter of fact, we were rehearsing even before we even had all the money to actually go out there and film the movie. Finally, we got everything together, and we started principal photography. I remember our first day was at the Gorilla Den, which is Judge Phillips' place on Nostrand Avenue between Atlantic and Pacific Street, where we were shooting in there. We were shooting in a restaurant scene. Yeah.
Funny when you speak about Paul, because in my mind I could see Paul. I could see Paul, and I know that Paul would be so very, very proud that you were able to take that and really move with it. Let's walk over into what I wanted to discuss with you also, which is this recent documentary that you shot. Share that with me. How did that start? How did you become involved in all that?
What happened, my business partner in Prince Entertainment Group, Mike James, came to me with the idea. He said he knows some people over in Asbury Park that have this idea that they want to institute into a program in the Asbury Park school district system. And he said, I think it will be something good for you to get involved in, and it's dealing with kids and education is very positive, and it will be a good look. So he recommended me to the school superintendent, told the superintendent about myself, and they looked at my resume, my bio, my reel, and they vetted me, and then they asked me if I would be willing to come aboard to document their summer program, and I said, sure. They then hired my company, and we came out, And we spent 2 weeks in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and filming all the famous landmarks from the Stone Pony, where Bruce Springsteen performs at all the time, as well as other famous artists, and the famous Lake House Studios, where all your top metallic and rockers go there to record, as well as other famous people. And that was towards the end of the shoot, the documentary, which is the finale. From everything that the kids learned in the program within those 2 weeks, the end of it, they get to go to a studio to experience the life of a recording artist. They learn every aspect inside the studio because they did the pre-production work in the schools. But towards the end, they took them to a field trip to a real recording studio and showed them all the equipment and everything, the boards and how everything is recorded. And they got a very good educational lesson there because everybody that worked at the engineer explained the whole system, how it worked. And then they actually recorded their own song that the kids wrote. And it was called You Gotta Believe. So at the very beginning, we walked in there, and everything was shot raw. And we shot with some good equipment. We used the Red camera. And this project was featuring hip-hop legend, rapper, Special Ed Archer. And we had a hip-hop cultural specialist, Curtis Jackson. And the both of them really got involved with the students. And they also had a couple other people that was part of the team. And they would teach them every aspect of the business, from the classroom and the library. They would teach them about writing, poetry. They would teach them about similes and all kind of things with literature, because this is supposed to be the hip-hop literacy program, in which the name of the film was called The Pen is Mightier Than the Sword. So they just teach them those things. They teach them graffiti, what was meant about the history of graffiti and hip-hop and how it correlates to the music and the movement. And they also taught them breakdancing, and they put all of these things together. But the both of them, Special Ed and Kurt, was able to get the kids involved. And in the very beginning, the kids were like very timid. They didn't want to talk. And then Special Ed warmed them up and said, "What's your name?" They didn't want to say, so you could say your name. So he got out of every single kid there. And the kids became involved, and they became engaged, especially when they turned that music on, and they had a DJ back there doing a scratching. I mean, the kids just escaped from wherever they were thinking about, the environment. They just got involved.
Oh,
nice. That was real beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Nice. So
we got to document every aspect of the program. In and out, we interview the superintendent, the assistant superintendent. The superintendent is Dr. Lamont Repellet, and the assistant superintendent was Sancha K. Gray. And they spoke about the program because they're the ones that actually put the program together. So we interviewed them, and they explained everything about the program. And we asked some other teachers and so forth that interact with the student. And we also had this one security guard who taken into these students. He cared so much because he's still a resident of Asbury Park. He's one of the original people there going all the way back, that he was born and raised there, went to school, et cetera, and came back and started working there. Right. So therefore, he's actually telling the whole story about Asbury Park.
Nice.
The transition stages and everything, and the students, and turned out to be a very interesting project. And this month, October 21st, 2017, the documentary is going to be screened at the Pocono Mountains Film Festival in Mount Pocono, PA, at the Mount Airy Casino Resort. So it's going to be screened there, and so a lot of people are going to get a chance to see it. In addition to that, the Asbury Park Board of Education, I believe they're having their own screening out there for the kids and the family that's not able to make it out to the Poconos to come to the festival. So they're doing something out there with the mayor and the people from Stone Pony, etc. It was a great project, a good shoot.
Let's go back a couple of steps. Okay, so you said the red camera. For those who are not familiar, what is the red camera?
Red camera is a high definition camera, top of the line. Like you have the Canon, or let's say compared to 35, you have an Aries and you have a Panavision. The red camera is sort of in the line of like a Panavision. Everybody wants to shoot with the Panavision.
Right.
Very high quality. And the resolution is 4K, 5K. So
now what does that mean in English? Remember, now we have lay people listening to this. So go ahead. What does that mean in English?
Meaning that it's the lines of resolution is crystal clear. I mean, you can see it's very sharp. The picture is more natural.
Let's look at something else there. Now, when you're shooting this, you have to have some type of script. You have to have some type of continuity. So what was that process for you?
Well, I listened to the superintendent, what he wanted to do, and I drafted out an outline. Of course, I had an outline. I wouldn't call it. It was an outline on everything from the beginning of the program to the end of the program. So I discussed it with him and discussed it with his assistant, exactly where they want to go with the documentary. And then I spoke to the hip-hop cultural specialist, and he told me what his curriculum is going to be. And so I pretty much took what he was talking about, and I devised into an outline and a shooting script. So therefore, I knew exactly. So I knew exactly. In the shooting script, you have your shots. So I knew exactly all the shots that I needed to have in order to complete the story.
Now, there are some people that think a director sometimes is the actual person that's always with the camera. So which position were you in? Were you, as the director, were you actually using the camera, or did you have a photographer, a cinematographer?
I had two DPs, two director of photography shooting. So I was basically directing and managing everything on the set. I mean, I picked up the camera a couple of times, but most of the time, I had two people there filming from different angles.
Did you also become part of the Directors Guild at some point in time?
No, not yet, no.
Not yet? Okay.
No.
Do you think you might step in that direction?
Yes, probably eventually, because like I said, I'm just getting back into it again because I wasn't up to 100% after being sick from 911, being a first responder. I had some injuries and illnesses, and I'm on medication, and now medication has made me stabilized. So getting myself together, my strength and everything together, and I've revamped and revised my website and start getting back out there working on projects.
Now, that was the circle, because I wanted you to go back and incorporate the healing process that you are going through after what you experienced at the World Trade Center.
Right. And this is all therapeutic. So it's not like doing film business is a manual labor and stuff like that, because, like I said, I hired a PA and I had a crew, and they were moving equipment around. I didn't even really touch the equipment unless I was going to shoot something with the camera. Other than that, they loaded up the truck, they unloaded the truck, and brought everything inside the building, set everything up. I told them where to set stuff up at, and went to work. So it wasn't really a physical demanding thing for me. It was all mental.
So, which can be rather demanding, don't you think?
Yeah, it could be worked. Yeah, it could be worked up, but it's mental. It's a little bit different, It's mental. Yeah.
So what's on the agenda for you now? Is this a breather point, or?
We're finishing up this project. Now we're getting stuff together. Hopefully by the spring of 2018, I'll be shooting a feature film, which is called Jenkinville, about a serial killer in the Poconos. And it's between a detective investigator tracking down a serial killer.
Hey, that's going to ruin the tourism. Well, I live in New York. Everybody went to the Poconos.
Yeah, but that's why the detective is trying to track him down, and he gets him in the end.
Okay, good.
And it calms everything down. It's like the movie Jaws. Got everybody scared to go into the water. And then after they blew the shark up, everybody went back in the water again. Okay, it's okay.
Wow, thank you so very, very much. Last request.
Okay.
For the young filmmakers that are coming into this 21st century with this high technology and also the instantaneous fame if they know how to work the internet, what do you say to them in any capacity? Their message, their quality of their work, pick an area, tell them a story.
Whatever you set out to do, finish the project. You know, everybody could talk about, okay, I'm gonna make a film, but the task is to complete it. No matter to what anybody else may say about it, whatever the completion is, it's not that easy to finish a project. And those people that have finished a project, you know, a lot of people just don't have that tenacity or that script to hold it together. But it's not easy. But however, it can be done. But these days and time, you don't need a whole lot of capital to make things happen because of the technology. Everything has changed. Years ago when it had 16 and 35 millimeters, the cost of processing was very expensive. The film was very expensive. Do your transfers, the mix and everything, and make your prints was very expensive. Now everything is straight digital, and they have so many good cameras out there that shoot high definition. And what you try to do, you try to keep your cost down by picking a subject matter project things that you have access to. And even myself, even with the film that I've written called Jenkinville about the serial killer, it's a basic film, but it's very interesting. But to keep the cost down as low as possible, I wrote things in the story. I designed it in such a way that I know that the areas and places where I'm going to be able to film. So the location is very important. And try to keep your locations and your cast down to a minimum.
You've mentioned writing, and I've met some young filmmakers or wannabe filmmakers who have a hesitation about the writing component because of dyslexia.
You have to have a story. You have to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Mm-hmm. Or you leave them on the cliff or whatever, but you still have to have a beginning and a middle working towards an end, whether you want to end it there or you just want to leave it for a question mark, it could be a sequel. But you have to have some sort of basic foundation. Not just go out there and say, I'm just going to shoot. Because then you're going to go, when it comes time to start posting, you're going to run into problems because you're not going to be able to find the footage. That's one thing that when you film, make sure you have good continuity, you make notes, and also you mark each scene. So this way, when you're dumping your cards, make sure you label everything. So this way you can go back and find the stuff, else it's going to be a nightmare.
Good advice. Very good advice. How long did that film take in terms of hours? How many man-hours did you put in?
Ooh. Let's say about 2 weeks to film and about 60 days to edit.
60 days? 8-hour days? 4-hour days?
Maybe like 4-hour days. It depends. I mean, I didn't edit it. I hired an editor to come in, and I had to work between his work hours because he wasn't working as an editor full time.
He did very well, especially on that trailer.
Yeah.
He did really well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add? This is your moment in time, Frazier. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, nothing more I can think of unless you want to ask another question. But
no, I'm good. I am so good with you. I am so proud of you. I am so very, very, very proud of you.
I picked up the torch, but I was afraid to.
You sure did. You sure did. You rose to the occasion, man. I know he's hanging out there saying, go first up. I know he is. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about Paul.
Yeah. Well, he's the one that was pushing me. He's the one that was pushing me to work behind the scenes because I didn't want to do it. He said, oh, no, I want you. I know you can handle this. I know you could do it. And I said, okay. And then after he passed on, I was like, oh, forget it. I ain't going to do this no more.
Wow.
And then one day it just hit me, and I started working on projects again.
So what do you think he would say? I know this is speculation, but you've been around Paul enough, that, and more so than I have. So what do you think he would say at the end of the day for you?
Pay your dues.
There you go. There you go. You used to tell me, work in your industry. Work in your industry.
Yeah, work in the industry, but you got to pay your dues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, work in the industry, but pay your dues. It ain't going to come easy. And he would say also, too, you don't know everything.
That sounds like Paul.
There's still more. There's still more. And he would say, excuse my French, he said, watch your ass. That's what he would say.
Nice
People
job.
cannot be trusted. They're cutthroat.
There you go. We're all in agreement with this now that we've caught that particular area in life, that time in life, where you're now a little bit 30 plus. So now you're saying, yes, that's true. Frazier Prince, producer, director.
Yes, just filmmaker.
That's
yeah, we'll
cool.
be fine.
That is so cool. I will call you for sure, filmmaker. Thank you so much for coming to the microphone. Thank you.
No problem.
It's not every day you have an opportunity to listen to somebody share their story. Share their story of all the various intricacies that happen in their lives and was able to come back out of that journey on the other side, healing and moving forward with optimism and enthusiasm. Congratulations, Frazier Prince, producer-director from the Prince Henry Entertainment Group, for joining us today. My name is Natalie J. We look forward to continuing this conversation, not only with Frazier, but with so many other young filmmakers who are approaching this field and find it absolutely beautiful and amazing. Remember now, it's a very powerful field. It's creativity. It's dreams. It's your imagination. Create the realities that you truly do desire, and not one that you don't. Good luck to you all. This is Natalie J. Ciao.